In the interview process, you want to make sure that somebody can do their job and they have the right skill sets in order to succeed.
Do you have unique ways you evaluate talent?
In the interview process, you can tell when somebody's telling you a story about something that they've done and their eyes get bigger and they have lights in them.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on as long as I did. And you're like, that's okay. Keep coming, right?
Yes, you can sense the enthusiasm for the work in the stories that they tell you about things. And that's something that's harder to fake.
How do you make senior hires or any hire successful in their new role?
Even though we're remote, I still aim to spend as much as I can in-person time at the beginning. The last piece is making sure that they understand that I'm going to put all my weight to them succeeding.
Welcome to How I Hire, the podcast where we talk with senior go-to-market leaders about how they find, vet, attract, and grow new talent. Today, I'm joined by Alina Vandenberghe. Alina is the co-CEO at Chili Piper, a company I've known and used many times throughout my career. She and her husband, Nicholas, have built the company together for the last 10 years into one of the leading demand conversion platforms out there. Many folks, when you sign up on a website or when you fill out a form, you're interacting with Chili Piper all the way through to routing. Alina, great to have you here.
Lucky me, spending the Friday afternoon with you.
It is good for sure. Well, I'm excited to dive into how you hire. I know you both hiring at Chili Piper, but also in your networks and talking to people. I think we'll have some great stories. I'd love to start off with kind of a unique culture you've built at Chili Piper. I think I've learned a lot about it from you, Nicholas, and a lot of other people that have worked there. And I imagine cultures of companies influence hiring philosophies as well. So maybe you can tell people a little bit about the company culture first.
One of the most important roles, I believe, for myself is that. And I'm happy that you are starting with it because it trickles down to everything else. Even when we were just 6 of us, I realized how important it is because every employee that interacted with our customers, with our prospects, would basically share a piece of us with the world. And if I would have just focused on delivering the best software I would have missed on the opportunity to create raving fans from our customers and from our employees. So it's something that has been dear to my heart from the beginning. I would say that each culture is very unique to the founder and what's important to the founder. And it's a lot easier if it aligns with the values that the founder has, because then you don't have to pretend that you write some values on a piece of paper on the website and then you have to keep remembering everybody of them. Whereas if you align as a founder with those and just offer yourself as a sample of how and the actions that you need to take with in front of the customers, then it's a lot easier. Mm-hmm. One of the things that mattered from the beginning was to grow the ecosystem with us. So it was not only about Chili Piper succeeding. It was also about our partners succeeding. It was also about the customers succeeding beyond just deploying software, but making sure that they connect with other peers, that they have a shoulder to cry on if they need it. And that was like one of the beginning pillars on how it all started.
That's really neat. I guess I felt the brand so many times, everything from they'll draw a little Chili Piper of you or how you interact with it socially. So it's been a really, you and I think similarly around the power of brands. And I think Chili Piper's been really powerful for that. I've known a lot of great executive talent that's been at Chili Piper, in the marketing and go-to-market side mostly, but I've gotten to know a lot of different folks. But I'm curious, how do you think about senior level roles? When do you determine, here is the next senior level role we need, here's where we need to supplement ourselves? Especially since you've grown it organically for so long, I'm interested to think, how do you think about executive talent?
One of the things that is a bit strange in our company or unique to us is that everything that we do is very transparent. So how much cash we have in the bank, the runway, churn rates, all the numbers are publicly available to all our employees. We made that decision because people make up stories when there are gaps, when there's missing information. And it's a lot easier to make the right decision if you understand all the data that you're being confined around. As a result, even though So we have junior SDRs that join the company, and all of a sudden they're being overwhelmed with a lot of information, a lot of data points, a lot of decision memos, because everything is documented and transparent and all of that. I'm observing that they understand, those that survive, because not everybody survives at Chili Piper, those that survive, they can understand a lot more about the ins and the outs of how a SaaS company operates, and they get a lot more savvy around how to operate within the confinements of their role. So they get a lot faster experience than in other places. And we have many examples where an SDR grew all the way to a VP role at Chili Piper because of that exposure and an understanding of the impact, etc. And we've encouraged people to get this opportunity to be hired internally over bringing external talent and bringing external experienced executives. And that's been in the fabric of the company from the beginning. Because of this kind of exposure, a lot of former employees and alumni, they have ex-Chili Piper because they know that there's brand clout and value in that kind of experience. And that has the kind of ripple effects in the ecosystem that mean a lot to me. It did happen that we brought in external talent and it worked out, but most of it has been promotion internally.
Wow, I love that. If you were to, does the transparency extend to external interviews? When do you open up the kimono to people on the numbers?
So I have 2 samples of executives that came in the interview process, and I can't remember any data point that I did not disclose. There was no secret, because my concern was that if they know early about the monsters, that they know what they're getting into, and they can understand whether they can help or not help, or they're gonna sunk as soon as they come in. So yes, I talk about the monsters early on.
I love that. I 1 or 2 more on the external, and I'm excited to go to the internal because I think it's so fascinating, and I'm a big believer in it too. Do you almost have like a data room for external hires where it's like a Box Drive or a Google Drive where you're like, congrats, you've reached this point in the interview process. Here is everything, or are you more disclosing it on an ad hoc basis to individual people?
I'm actually keen on hearing what questions they ask me, as opposed to me data dumping on them, because that gives me insights of how they think about it and what numbers are important to them.
I agree. Yeah, if you can't articulate the question, that's going to tell me if you're a good person or not. And maybe you're willing to go deeper and more honest than other companies are in terms of all of this stuff.
Yeah, because then if I show them my board deck, which is transparent and is available to all my employees straight on, then I lead with what's important at Chili Piper, and that doesn't give me enough insights in how they think about it and what they would prioritize. So I start the opposite way. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I'm always one to spend that hour to 5 hours with the candidates on what questions do you have for me, but I'm not going to lead you and lead the witness. Before we go to the internal hiring, you said those that survive. I think that's an interesting one, because wearing your culture and your values on your sleeves may help with that. But why don't you think people survive? Are there any patterns you found on that?
So we're one of the few companies in the space that is still remote and has been remote from the beginning. And there's this projection that remote work is amazing, which it, if you can do it right, because you can be anywhere in the world and it's beautiful and you have flexibility around the hours, etc. But as soon as that wears off, as soon as someone is left alone to their own devices without other people around them to put pressure on them to deliver results, without anybody watching over their shoulders, being inundated with a lot of information, with so much digital noise, it's really hard to be self-driven, self-motivated, focus on the right things at all times. It's so easy to get distracted and get back into scrolling on social media, or just doing tasks just so that they're completed because so many people are asking you to do things. And not everybody is able to self-manage. Not everybody is able to self-direct. It just takes a different kind of mindset to do that. even though it sounds alluring to be working remotely.
No, I agree with you. I think remote, a lot of companies experimented with it, fell on their faces during COVID, but you were remote before COVID and you're still remote, right?
And I love it. I'm definitely made for it, but not everybody is.
Yeah. Personally, I would need to, I guess, startup, I am fully remote, but personally, I do love the 2 days in the office, seeing people and touching that. And it can be hard to lead bigger teams that way. How do you screen for remote
Talent?
capable? Yeah. Or are there characteristics that you are screening for? Or is that more like, let me focus on, are you a good executive? Because generally you're Zoom interviewing people anyway, even in today's world, like the first and maybe even the second rounds are Zoom anyway. You'll go all the way through the process. But like, when do you start thinking through, is this person going to be a good fit in a remote culture? Or do you have any questions that can suss that out? Or are you like, if you've been at Google in the offices, I just know you're not going to be good no matter how well you interview? How do you think about that?
There are some telltale signs that we've been using. So, for instance, one of them is whether or not they're passionate about the role. It might not sound like it's related, but it is, because if you really like what you're doing, it doesn't matter if you're at home or in an office. If you're really doing it for the joy of it, then you can be self-directed at home as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it for just a paycheck, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just long-term. It's a lot more difficult. Most people who are doing things just because they're going through the motions are going to burn out, and they're going to burn out a lot faster when they're remote, because you have to have that intrinsic motivation when you wake up in the morning to do your own schedule, to be providing with your own KPIs. So the passion for the role is one that I'm very particular around. Me personally, I cannot work with anybody who is not in love with their work. So it's been a good correlation. Another one is, and this only applies to junior hires, is if they've never worked in an office before and straight out of school they go remote, is going to fail like 100%. There's like no chance for them to survive.
That's going to be really, the whole group that graduated from college during and right after COVID must have really struggled. I remember my neighbor, they had their kid back, and he was a remote SDR for the first year out of their house. I can only imagine, like, no mentor, nobody able to listen in on your calls, tap you on the shoulder saying, hey, let's take a walk and talk about how that call went. It's like none of that stuff. I would agree with. Okay, so how do you grow your own BDR, SDR, junior folks then if you're fully remote? Or you hire from other places?
We don't take junior SDRs, yeah. It's people that have some experience.
Makes a ton of sense. Well, now let's flip to this internal hiring. I've always been a big fan of it. It's interesting. It sounds like, so you've grown some of your executive leadership through internal hiring?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How do you identify those people and nurture them? Or do you have practices and philosophies around the internal hiring that help guide everything?
Internal growth is super important because they will have a lot more knowledge and a lot more capacities to handle the role, because they're easier to ramp, but also because we have a bit of an unorthodox approach, but the idea is that you grow people in the type of things that they're the strongest at. And the way I've been looking at it for the past year or so is that we all have electrons, so things that energize us, and then protons as well, which are things that are bringing friction, and it might be stressful, etc. But you need both. You need the electrons and the protons to create like the kind of energetic compound to make you want to work and get the results, etc. And when you pay attention to the protons, the type of thing that drain you, there has to be a distinction between things that drain you because you might have a trauma and you haven't yet broken up the trauma to be able to do that thing really well, or it's just something that the environment is driving you so that you can do more of the type of things that you love, so that you can do most of the impact in other areas. And we have coaches in the company, 3 coaches that are helping the team kind of identify what are the type of things that might be most suited for them. And we offer a lot of interesting capacity of expansion that's probably also unusual, in that they can hire fractional help. Anybody in our team can hire fractional help to complement themselves into the role on the areas that they don't like as much, that they find stressful or dreading, etc. And also to bring in help around AI agents that can also help do that work. So it's AI agents plus fractional help, and you only do the type of things that you're excited about. That brings the best in everybody around, and it also allows us to see what gaps we might have on who we might want to bring in, or we might want to hire to take our team to the next level. It's an unusual time, yeah.
I heard a CEO quote the other day. He said, "Don't bring me." He said two people came to me. One person said, "Hey, I need another headcount for this," and the other person said, he said, "No." And he said, one person said, "I need budget to hire AI and to build it out and to do the systems." Like, yes, of course. I think that's increasingly happening with people, where it's like, can you make yourself more productive with AI and be AI native on that side? Do you screen? I mean, I know we're all trying to get to AI capable and using everything. How do you look at the talent level now of the people you're bringing into the business? Is that a requirement that they have AI fluency?
From the beginning, when we started, we would test a lot in the initial stages for their tech skills, because we're so embedded in all this tech stack, and we wanted to make sure that everybody understands JSON, understands JavaScript, understands all the technical jargon, and they do that out of the get-go. So everybody's very technically capable at Chili Pipers to start with.
Did that extend to like a Dan Schmela or an Arthur, or people that are more go-to-market? Would even people like that be technical as well too?
We would still test even Arthur and Dan. We would test them on those kind of things. Even if themselves might not be tinkers, and they might not be people who might QA an error on a landing page, they can still talk confidently with people who are doing this kind of work, because these are the people that are our customers and prospects. As a result, a big chunk of our workforce is already tech and or tech forward. Everybody's vibe coding, everybody's playing with the systems and creating agents in an A10, and everybody in the company contributes to that kind of culture. So I'm probably one of the fewer founders who cares a little bit less if an executive is super in tune with the AI agents, because we already do so much that they will learn very fast. But I can imagine that in another organization must be very difficult if they don't have that kind of internal culture.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And so a lot of the people you're selling to are the RevOps people, which I think are almost the best positioned people to adopt AI, right? Because it's a lot of tinkering, trying. I would say RevOps people are configure people, not customize people. And so I think these new set of tools have really opened up many, many, many more ways to configure. Right, Whispered for a very long time was built on Andy's tinkering with AI, and now I have other people doing the tinkering for me. But I love to build one of these platforms all by myself.
It's so much fun that to tinker. Yeah, now with AI, it's so much fun.
Normally, we focus on how you hire at your company, but I know you and I were talking beforehand just around like the CMO market in general. I'd be fascinated to hear your take on that space, given how many CMOs are customers of yours, friends of yours as well too.
It's such a strange time. It's going to stabilize, but for now, because so many AI companies are making investors, board members, and CEOs be a lot more mindful of how they run their organizations with fewer employees, and trying to get as much as possible as many of their processes with AI agents. They're becoming a lot more reluctant to hire in a traditional sense, like the traditional organizations, especially around marketing. So on one side, I'm observing the CEOs who are looking for this unicorn CMO who understands everything about AI agents, can replace all their team with AI agents, and can orchestrate everything and still get the pipeline results. So that there's like this expectation from the CEO. And then you get CMOs who have been in a very strange industry for the past, especially in SaaS, for the past few years, where companies go bust, they get acquired and there's a mess, or they haven't yet got to market fit even though they're blowing so much cash. And other companies who have CEOs with completely unrealistic expectations of themselves. So a lot of them are burned out by it. And then the CEOs are still coming up with these expectations that make no sense. A lot of CEOs are themselves burned out because there's a lot of pressure from the venture industry. So it's a bizarre. I think it's going to change in the next 2 years, but for now it's still weird.
It's a weird time. And then you add to all that, SEM is more and more challenging. Email is overloaded with AI written emails, and SEO is pretty much, call it 10 to 15% a year. And there's some of these companies I think about and I'm like, oh boy, those ones that were the golden child of the SEO era are really struggling right now for sure. It's a tough time for marketers. But I definitely see there's this whole new wave of tools that you can use as well too, right? Like the Chili Pipers, the Tofus, Inflections of the world, where they're starting to rethink how do you get more AI native on marketing. And so I get pessimistic short term like you. It's like I feel like it's going to be 3 years out before the world is easier to be a marketer again on that stuff.
The marketers that are continue to thrive and still have a lot of fun are those that are not afraid of reinventing themselves and thinking of how they can use their strength within the ecosystem that's brewing. So, for instance, one of our customers is growing like crazy in a super competitive space. With TikTok, and that's a B2B company that is capitalizing on shorts in a way that allows them to not be affected so much by even the SEO or any other channels or email because they're doing so well on TikTok or B2B. And I see that other marketers that are also very successful with difficult products, not like the OpenAI who's growing like crazy or the Lovable, but with competitive industries, they know how to capitalize very well on social media and all the agentic workflows that they can create to make sure that their targeting is on point.
I couldn't agree more. When I interviewed a demand gen person at one company, my favorite answer is, I'm not going to bring the same playbook from my last company to here, but I have enough pattern recognition to be able to like test and think. I think you have to be trying new stuff every place you go all the time. It's and hopefully the CEOs are willing to give you that extra 10 to 15% of experimentation budget, because if everything is ROI based, it's just really hard to do much at all.
Yeah, for sure the partnership with the CEO is an important one because most of the times most of campaigns don't work right away. So you have to tinker a lot and fail a lot. So you have to have the confidence in one another to understand that there will be a lot of failure in the beginning months. Yeah.
That's fine. Well, our show always focuses on the hiring. I wish I could just go into a whole episode on Chili Piper's marketing because you guys do a great job. But maybe let's shift over to kind of how talent finds you. I'm curious, are there ways that people can break through to get to know you, or maybe stories in the past where you noticed a candidate in a way, something creative?
My best channel for hiring has been in person. And I've gone to so many industry events and I've watched so many people on stages and dinners and lunches. And I've 100% prioritized the kind of in-person interactions that showed me that the person can be candid and open-minded in that kind of setting. It's because I've prioritized a lot of relationships in the ecosystem and helping the people in it. So that was something that was meaningful for me. But especially these days, as the digital channels can be complicated, in person is still a good method in my case. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ironic that you're remote per company, but in person is your best channel as well too.
It has been from the beginning, even though we're remote. Most of our customer acquisition channel was in person.
No, I agree. I mean, every time we meet, our relationship grows so much more than we could spend 10 hours on Zoom versus half an hour over a drink, and it would be so much more valuable. I'm excited that most of us were back in office. But I'm sure you have great traditions as well, too, to get the company together at certain points in time to get that in person as well.
Yeah, no, it's we get together and we compete in singing, so it's a bit different, but
And I would not qualify to work at Chili Pepper. No. So what? Maybe shifting over to the interview process then. Like, do you have unique ways you evaluate talent? We've talked about some of them already, but anything else stand out in your mind?
so obviously in the interview process, you want to make sure that somebody can do their job and they have the right skill sets in order to succeed. And specifically in marketing, when it comes to executive hires, they have to be good at orchestration, internal relationships, and all those things. In my case, something that I've doubled down on, there are a couple of things that I've doubled down on. One, like I told you earlier, passion for the role. In the interview process, you can tell when somebody's telling you a story about something that they've done and their eyes get bigger and they have lights in them. You know that they're...
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on as long as I did. And you're like, that's okay. Keep coming, right?
Yes, you can sense the enthusiasm for the work in the stories that they tell you about things. And that's something that's harder to fake, I believe.
Yeah.
Another thing is I also ask them and I see if there can be honest about them, the type of things that drain them.
Mm-hmm.
If I notice that they bring nothing, I know that there's, or they bring fake things to just show that they brought something. Then I also know that I will not be able to work with them because I prefer to have a candid relationship from the beginning and they understand my monsters, I understand their monsters, and that's how we can decide if it's a good long-term partnership. So the genuine representation of what drains them is also very important to me. There's another piece that's probably just specific to me and something that I've observed in especially when it comes to CMOs, is that there's a level of fearlessness that is required to do the role and conviction, because you get robbed by so much of your time in so many directions. Everybody's asking you to do things. You have to get really good at saying no without the fearlessness that you're upsetting somebody by saying no, or the conviction that your decision is the right one and that's why you're saying no. It's really hard to break as an executive and like make meaningful change. That I'm observing that I'm curating for that more and more on the people that I'm being surrounding myself with. I don't want yes men. I want no men, no woman, to be able to prioritize the type of things that matter.
I love that. The podcast we had earlier this week was saying one of the things they want is, actually they were talking about how do they know if they have successful hires. And they said, I need to see that in the first couple of weeks, they can confidently disagree with me. And if they can't, and they're just still a yes person at the end of a month, I'm doing a big timeout and asking, did we get the right hire? And I love that they're so clear in what they're looking for on that front.
That's an important one for me as well. Because otherwise they just overwhelm themselves with stuff and it's a never ending. I mean, look at you and myself. At the end of the day, we have 1,000 undone tasks. But we succeeded because we were good at prioritization and saying no.
It's a senior level mentality that you absolutely need. I talk to a lot of people that are directors and I'm swamped. I can't get any resources. And I'm like, I have no sympathy for that. If you can't frame to your C-level person, here are the trade-offs and here are the priorities and here's how I think we should attack them, but I'm totally okay reorienting. When you do that well, you're going to get resources. And so a lot of those people, I'm like, you're not really operating at a director level for those types of things. So that's interesting. Do you have a favorite interview question?
When I ask them about what's going wrong in their RAS role and why they're looking for a change, I want to see a couple of things in their answer back. First, the honesty, because usually I can back channel and track and see exactly what is driving them. So I want to see that the reality matches their story. So the honesty piece is important to me. Then a level of ownership over the problem and understanding why they're not able to fix the problem, why they want to take a different challenge, and how they've tried to solve for it and they didn't manage because of certain circumstances. Because if you have like a blame kind of mindset and you say it's everybody else's problem, so I'm just getting out, it's very hard for me to work with that kind of mindset. I'm a lot better when people join that have tried things, they've looked at all the possible ways in which they could solve something, and afterwards they take the next level decision, which is to leave. Then the third piece that I look at when they're talking about the pull and push is compassion towards the company that they're currently employed and grace to the challenges that they have, as opposed to anger or selfish reasons. Yeah, it's a level of compassion for the company that they're leaving behind, understanding the problems that they're going through. Because I believe that the kind of people that want to leave the world behind a better place are the kind of people that can thrive at Chili Piper as well.
I love that one. It's also, when they depart your company, it will almost always be on with good feelings and as a good alumni versus the bitter employee that does whatever it does. I'm always asking everybody how much. There's always a bit of running to a company and there's a bit of running from. I think you just in your own mind need to be conscious of how much is which, is in more for the candidate than for the interviewer. But to me, it's a really interesting question. I think, I remember when I went to Culture Amp, I was probably like 60-40 running from to, just because of there was interesting situations at my prior one. But it's like, you got to know that and you got to be conscious in your own mind on some of that stuff. And so I like your question because it helps you understand how much is passion about the company you're coming to versus why you're running from it. And it's okay to be running from a little bit. I think a lot of people are, you wouldn't be looking if you weren't running from just a little bit.
Exactly. If everything goes well, then you'd not entertain a conversation.
That's good. Well, how do you, maybe it's kind of as we wrap it up, like, how do you make senior hires or any hire successful in their new role? I'm betting you've thought a lot about that one.
Oh, yes, I have given this subject a lot of thought. Even though we're remote, I still aim to spend as much as I can in-person time at the beginning, because get a sense that them understanding and seeing me operate could help a lot more than any Slack message would. Like in, they say that the best army generals are the ones who lead from the front with a sword, right? And I'm not kind of executive who goes and talks to customers, talks to his prospects, and I bring them along so that they see and can exemplify me to understand what's meaningful for me and what not. It oftentimes happens that they're also in my house, sleeping in the bedrooms while my kids are around. And that's also meaningful for me, because when you're remote, things are blending in, and the Alina at home is blended very much with Alina at work, because I'm the founder, and I don't expect the same level of commitment from my employees, but I want them to understand that for me, this is not a job. It's something that I think about all the time. And yet I integrate my kids and they're part of it, and they come to the conversation as well. So allowing them to see the full me is a key part of the equation. It allows them to see where I'm coming from and all of that. Spending a lot of time with customers is also very important for me, so that they can see why our customers are happy, why they're not happy, what's going on, and what problems we have ahead. And the third piece is making sure that I can give them as much insight to the type of things that I can help them with and I can unblock for them, as compared to the type of things that I can't help them with, and they might want to go to an external mentor for, or for a coach too. So kind of understanding where the gaps are. And I would say that the last piece is making sure that they understand that I'm going to put all my weight to them succeeding. Because if they don't feel supported, it's going to be really hard, because it's a harsh industry, it's a harsh environment, and I want them to know that they have my full support.
I love that. You are so thoughtful about how you lead the company and how you hire and how you do talent. I've learned a ton today. It's really fun. Thank you so much for spending the time today.
Thank you for inviting me.